Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gurur Atmeti Mukti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste once again, all of you.
Namaste, Guruji.
Okay. So, in the last class, we saw in some detail about Jiva Ishwara Aikyam. That is the oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma. And we saw the one illustration also, one pictorial depiction of what all I had explained in the previous class also and also in the last class. Okay. So what happens is, whenever we are entertaining a difference between us and Ishvara, we are actually looking at the medium, the upadhi of Jiva and Ishvara, and because the upadhis are different, the reflecting mediums are different, so we have this perceived difference between Jiva and Ishvara. But in essence, both Jiva and Ishvara only are distorted versions of the original consciousness, the original Brahman or the Atma as we call it. There is no distortion so far as Atma is concerned, and Atma is not concerned about Jiva, Paramatma and all that. Atma blesses this entire universe, every individual aspect of this universe, the consciousness blesses it. And because of that only we have all this sentiency and all that. So we must understand that all these differences that we perceive, even between individuals and individuals, forget between Jivatma and Paramatma. Even when we actually perceive differences between two individuals, somebody is very talented, somebody does not have a talent, or different people are talented in different ways. Somebody may be a good singer, one person is a good athlete, sports person, then somebody else is very good in gambling. So all these differences we see even among human beings, we must understand that these differences exist only at the body, mind, sense complex level, which by its nature are jadam, inert material, just material, that's it. They get sentiency only because of the reflection of the original consciousness. So from that point of view of original consciousness and the reflections, there is no difference between anything or anybody in this world. This is what we have to understand from what all we have seen. And that is what is the message of the Upanishads. Upanishad after Upanishad after Upanishad, in different ways, in using different examples, different illustrations, this one message is being conveyed. That's all. Any Upanishad you take, and that is the end of the Vedas. So from the point of view of our own scriptural, what I could say, scriptural, not getting, sometimes words miss, authentic
Standpoint.
Not standpoint, is more than a standpoint. From the source of knowledge, the source of knowledge for all these things, you cannot find these explanations, this knowledge in any other textbook relating to any subject, be it physics, chemistry, maths, or anything. Nowhere they will talk about Jivatma, Paramatma, and all that. The only source, the only pramanam for all these things is our Shastras, and out of which our Vedas are the original source. And Upanishads are the concluding portions of the Vedas. So they are actually saying, all this we have talked about in this Vedas, in Karma Kanda, everything. What is the culmination, the message of all these things? There is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. That this entire universe, cosmos is being, powered as if by the Atma, Brahman. That is the thing. So when we look at everything from this standpoint, then we will understand non-difference, non-duality. There is only one. There is no second. So that is how we have to understand. So the original essence of both Jivatma and Paramatma is Atma only. And it is one Atma. It is not the different Atma. There is one and the same Atma, which is there getting reflected in all living beings, including non-living beings, even though they are insentient. But one aspect, that is existence aspect of that Brahman, the Sat aspect exists for even inert material. That's why we say rock is, wood is, and all those kind of words. Is, when we use that, is represents the existence aspect of the Brahman. So with this understanding, let us now enter the text, because we read the text before the last class, I think, but we have not seen word by word what is the meaning. So let us see that. So the author starts by saying, Stula Sharira Bhimani Jiva Namakam Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati. So he is just straight away coming to the point. Jiva Namakam means the Atma which is named as Jiva. Jiva Namakam. It has been given a label, a name as Jiva. What is that Jiva? He says, first of all, it is Stula Sharira Bhimani. Stula Sharira Bhimani is strong identification with the gross body. That's what we all have. Biggest problem, strong identification. And when we say Stula Sharira Bhimani, we can include Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram also. Sharira Traya Abhimani. That is what we call Jiva. It's a name given to this Sharira Traya. The one who is identifying himself with all these three bodies. What is that? He says that is Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati. It is nothing but a reflection of that Brahman, the original consciousness. Pratibhimbam means reflection. Bimbam means the original source of light. Pratibhimbam means reflection. So, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira Bhimani Jivanavakam Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati. This is the first sentence he has said. And that is why, as we saw in the last class, the differences all are arising only because of the quality of the reflecting medium. The purer the reflecting medium, the reflection will be brighter. The impurer the reflecting medium, it will be a dull reflection. So the quality of the medium is what makes the difference. The distorted version which we see, all the distortions relating to the quality of the medium, there are no distortions in the original consciousness, the original source of this consciousness. Okay. And we saw the example of convex mirror, concave mirror, and all that. Okay. And not being aware of this reality, this fact, is the cause for all samsara. All our dukkha, sorrows. If you just sit and analyze why we feel unhappy sometimes, why we feel sorrowful, it is mainly because of all these kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, starts playing their role. And when those things are happening, there are different emotions we go through. Sometimes we may have a fight with somebody, angry, very angry. And there might have been an exchange of some unpleasant words. But what will happen after some time, we will calm down and think about it. And we may feel that maybe, I overreacted to the situation. I should not have become angry. I should have controlled myself. This feeling, many people or many instances we get. What that leads to? Unhappiness with your own self. Similarly, jealousy. We are seeing somebody doing very well, though he is committing all sorts of crimes, but he seems to be leading a very, very happy and affluent life. And we have been very truthful all our life. We have never told any lie, and we have been very, very straightforward. But still we are in, very economically challenged situation. So we see that fellow, and some of us may become jealous. And that jealousy will give rise to unhappiness. All because we are looking at each other from the point of view of the upadhi, from the point of view of the medium. If we go beyond the medium means not literally, but in our cognition, in our understanding. If we go beyond the medium and understand that all these differences that I am seeing, because of which I am becoming unhappy, these differences are only distortions. There is no difference at all between any being from the point of view of the original consciousness. If we understand that, that is moksha, eternal happiness. You will never ever become dukhi. So this is the connection, how we have to understand between what is the distorted versions and what is the original consciousness. Okay. So he says, sa eva jiva. This confused jiva, looking at all these distortions, it looks at Paramatma, Ishvara, goes to a temple. And in temple, all very nice, beautiful idol and very well decked and all that, right? And thinks that Paramatma is somebody great. Because he doesn't understand that Paramatma also is nothing but another distorted version of the original consciousness. It just happens to have a better reflecting medium, a more purer reflecting medium. Okay. But in essence, there is no difference at all. That Paramatma is also borrowing its existence from the original consciousness. The Jivatma is also borrowing its existence from the original consciousness. Paramatma has got all the powers which he has got, the Paramatma has got from the original consciousness only, being blessed by the original consciousness. Whenever we say Paramatma, we talk about Brahman plus Maya, put together is Paramatma, or Ishvara we call, which is the creative power, which has got creative power, sustaining power, and also dissolution power. And other kind of Shaktis, rather Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, all these are all there we attribute to Paramatma. But what is that Paramatma? All these exist at the Upadhi level, at the reflecting medium level. In the original reflection, there is no such qualities or anything. Okay. So as long as we are absorbed in these distorted versions, we will always see differences in this world. And that is what 99.9% people do. We see differences in the world, and then immediately all these, we have our own opinions. Then there is Facebook, there is WhatsApp and things like that, and all. We keep ourselves busy throughout the day with seeing differences, entertaining the differences, dealing with the differences through various media. And when we do that, more differences arise. That also is a problem. Okay. So it's all there in our understanding. In reality, there is no difference. Okay. So all these distorted images are what? Incidental attributes of a particular medium. That's all. Okay. So then the author continues, Swasmat Prakritya, by his own natural ignorance, Ishwaram Bhinnatvena Janati. He looks at Paramatma as different from his own self. That is, from the point of view of Jivatma. So he sees a difference. Why? Because of the ignorance of the fact. Ignorance of all that we have learned about original consciousness, reflected medium, reflecting consciousness, all those things. Ignorant of all these facts. So Bhinnatvena Janati, he sees all differences between Jivatma is different, Paramatma is different, and all that. And this ignorance, if you see, is at the foundation, at the base of Dvaita philosophy. They don't go beyond this at all. They take these differences as reality. I mean, to put it in a different way, they are seeing so many reflections of one sun in many pieces of mirrors of different shapes and sizes, of different qualities or attributes in terms of its purity. They are taking all those reflections as real and dealing with the world. This is the Dvaita philosophy. When we come to Vishishta Advaita philosophy, they are actually sitting on the fence between Dvaitam and Advaitam. They say, yeah, we accept that the sun is the original source of light. We have no dispute with that. But from a practical experience point of view, we cannot ignore these reflections. So this reflected sun in the mirrors are nothing but a part of that original sun. This is their philosophy. They come up with the Amsha Amshi Bhava. So they say that we will not accept that Jivatma and Paramatma is one. But that both are powered by the original consciousness, we will accept. But Jivatma is a part of Paramatma. It cannot be same as Paramatma. That is the Visishta Advaita philosophy. So, when we come to Advaita philosophy, we make all this analysis. And this analysis is not somebody has come up with this brilliant idea of his own. This analysis is all based upon what the Vedas are teaching, what the Upanishads are teaching. The other philosophies, they will conveniently ignore the complete teaching of Upanishad. They will pick up only those. See, if the Upanishad says that this Jivatma is reflected consciousness of Paramatma, see, they say that of Paramatma, it's a part, it is reflected consciousness. So then they will immediately attribute Amsha Bhava to the Jivatma. Because they still feel, and it's a very human kind of thinking. How can I equate myself with the total power? Blasphemy it is. I can never be God. As long as you are in that frame of mind, you will never accept Advaita philosophy. Then people will ask, now why should I go to the temple and pray if I am God and there is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma? Why should I pray at all? Why should I worship? All these questions will come up. Answer is very simple. First of all, are you accepting this proposition that there is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma? Suppose he says, yes, I accept it at a theoretical level. We are not talking about theoretical level. If you have understood what there is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma based upon this original consciousness, you have to assimilate that understanding completely. Abide in that understanding. If you meet all these qualities, there is no need for you to go to any temple and pray or go before any altar and pray and do any worship. No need. You become a Mahatma, there is no need to do any of these things. You are beyond all karmas. The only karmas left for a Mahatma is the karmas that the Mahatma is required to do for the maintenance of his body-mind complex in the shape till the prarabdha karma comes to an end. That's all. So a Mahatma will do minimum karmas. Otherwise, Mahatma will always be abiding in his knowledge that I am original consciousness, I am Satchidananda Swarupa, and he will not, he need not go to any temple, do any prayer and all. There is no karma for it. Because as per our Shastras, the result of any prayer is all punya. A Mahatma doesn't need to earn any punya because he knows he is a Jivan Mukta. All punya, papa, business and all, that whole thing is closed for him. No longer valid. When he leaves this body, he will become Videha Mukta. That's all. He will become one with the totality. There is no rebirth for him. As long as there is no rebirth, what is the punya, papa and all going to do for him? Nothing. So if somebody has understood all these things very well, and then he abides in that understanding, he has developed the Sarvatma Bhava. He looks at every aspect of this universe, including every individual, every animal, every animate and inanimate objects or beings in this entire universe beyond the distorted medium level. He looks at everything, understands that everything is that one original consciousness only. And I am also that one original consciousness. There is no difference at all. If you abide in that understanding, then there is no need for prayer. As long as that understanding doesn't come, then all these things we will have to follow, worshipping, prayers, punya, papa, everything will have to be there. So this is what he is trying to say here. Because of the ignorance of this fact, this reality, Ishwaram bhinnatvena janati. He looks at Paramatma as different from his own self. And this is called Jivatma Paramatma Bheda. Bheda means difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. So that is what I said, told you at the root of the Dvaita philosophy. They say we are all very limited beings. Paramatma is Maha, Paramatma, great, soul and all that. We are mortals. There is no mortality for Paramatma and all that. He is the creator and we are all the created, his creations. He is the master and we are all his servants. Dasoham. He says Soham. Soham means Saha Aham. Soham. They just add a da. They say Dasoham. I am his servant. That's all. By adding a da, they make it the totally change the full philosophy of Advaita philosophy. We say soham, they say dasoham. Okay. So from our philosophy point of view, from Advaita philosophy point of view, there is no master, no servant. Everybody is a master only. Then the author goes on to say, he defines the Jivatma. He says, avidyopadihi san atma jiva ityuchyate. Avidya here we have seen earlier refers to the Karana Sharira. Ignorance, right? Mula Vidya, we have seen that. You can all recall that those talks, Mula Vidya talks. Okay. And when we are saying Karana Shariram, we can include Stula Shukma Shariram also, because in text and all in Vedanta, what happens is many times they are just indicative, and we have to understand with the help of a guru what exactly it means. When you say Karana Shariram, doesn't necessarily mean only Karana Shariram, because all three Sharirams, other than their function, there is no difference in them. They are all reflecting medium only, isn't it? Given different names. We saw Vishwa and Taijasa and Prajna. We saw the names given for these three Sharirams, right? So that is what he says. Avidyopadihi san, being totally covered in this avidya, ignorance. Upadihi, avidya, upadihi, all this ignorance of the, taking or identification with this, stula, sukshma, and karana sharira, we call that a jiva and give it a name. Similarly, for Paramatma, he says, mayopadihi san, ishwaraha ityuchyate. So the Brahman reflected in Maya. And Maya is what? Karana Prapancha, the causal universe. And we can include, as in the case of Jiva, the Sukshma and Stula Prapancha also, rather that the Prapancha Trayam, totality, the macro medium. So appearing in that macro medium as totality, we call that Ishvara. Ishvara iti uchyate. It's called Ishvara or Paramatma. So Ishvara is what? Omniscient, omnipotent. That's how we describe Ishvara. All love, compassion, beauty, so many things, right? And his creations are also extremely beautiful, the creations of Ishvara. And we poor souls have got diametrically opposite qualities. But what the author wants to point out here is that even though we may seem to be different, these differences are only superficial and artificial. They're incidental. Artificial, they're incidental. Essentially and intrinsically, both Jivatma and the Paramatma are one. And this knowledge is called Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Jnanam. And this is the full foundation of Advaita philosophy. When you talk of Advaitam, this is what is Advaitam. Jiva, Ishvara or Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam, oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. Now, at this stage, we have seen what is this Aikyam is all about. There may be a question. What will I get if I gain this knowledge? What is the benefit to me? Will this knowledge solve my day-to-day problems? I have so many problems. There are family problems, national problems, corona type national problems, religious problems. So many things are there. Conversion, religious conversions are taking place. This knowledge, if I get, will it solve all these problems? So such questions will be very natural in any thinking human being. But before the author deals with these questions, he wants to explain first what one could lose by not gaining this knowledge. First, he wants to highlight that. So what he says, evam upadi bhedat जीवेश्वर भेद बुद्धि भेद दृष्टि यावत् पर्यन्तं तिष्ठति तावत् पर्यन्तं जन्म मरणादि रूप संसारः न निवर्तते तस्मात् कारणात् न जीवेश्वरयोः भेद बुद्धिः स्वीकार्या. This is what he says. Now, as I said a little earlier, we have to analyze why do human beings suffer in their life. Are the sufferings being caused by the events in one's life? Are the sufferings being caused by the planetary positions which are there in one's horoscope? If we analyze that, we will find that these sufferings are not the sources of sufferings at all. The main source of suffering is the misunderstanding, the misconception or ignorance of this distorted version of Jivatma and Paramatma. So that's what he says, evam, in this manner, upadi bhedat, because of the differences in the medium, jiveshwara bheda drishtihi, from the standpoint of this wrong perception that the Jivatma and the Ishvara or Paramatma are different, drishtihi in the here means the wrong vision or a standpoint you can take. Misunderstanding, misconception, all those. Yavat paryantam tishtati, as long as this continues, this difference business continues. And here he is highlighting only Jiva Parameshwara Bheda Drishtihi. We can extend it to Jiva Bheda Drishtihi also. Parameshwara Bheda Drishti also. Oh, I am a Vaishnavite, you are a Shaivite, so we will fight. That's also Bheda Drishti among Paramatma. And of course, Bheda Drishti within Jivatma, we don't need to explain at all. Everybody knows. We always see ourselves different from everybody, either on the positive side or negative side. So as long as this Bheda Drishti or these differences we continue to entertain, he says, what? Till such time, tavat paryantam, till such time, janma maranadi rupa samsara. This samsara, what we call samsara, this life of becoming, this bondage, which is in the form of Jiva Maranadi, means what? While living also, we are suffering, all these consequences. Then we have a rebirth, again, born again to continue to suffer the same consequences. Why? Because birth after birth, this ignorance is continuing. We never ever do anything to gain the true knowledge. What is the true essence of this entire universe? Why is it that I am always sorrowful, I suffer in my life? Why is it that we never sit back and analyze? Even if we do, we immediately want to find a scapegoat outside us for our suffering. We never look at ourselves internally. Is there something wrong with me because of which I am constantly suffering? We never do that analysis at all. First of all, we don't know how to do this analysis. Even if we know, we become scared to do that analysis. What if I see the reality? Sometimes the reality is unpalpable. So we continue to suffer like this. Tavat paryantam, till such time, the samsara, which is characterized by repeated births and rebirths and deaths, whatever it is. So many people are dying today, and so many people are suffering because other people are dying. seeing that they become depressed. If they understand what is dying is what? Is only the body, mind, sense complex is dying. The person, the self in that person has no death, it's eternal. If you take your thinking to that level, then you will not have any sorrow. Okay, his karma, as per the body, mind, this thing, karma is finished, so that person, he or she has gone. Whatever may be the cause, it may be corona, it may be a heart attack, it may be any reason. Because for prarabdha karma to end, for a given person, something has to happen. Some nimittam has to be there. So that is all. It is done. If you raise your thinking, your understanding to that level, then you will take everything in your own stride. Yeah, it is happening. It is not good for the families who are ignorant about all these things and are suffering. It's really a pathetic situation. But from my point of view, I can keep myself away from all this sorrow and dukkha and everything by having an understanding about these things. So that's what he says. Adi he puts, right? What he says, Janma Maranadi. So Adi Padat, you can include all other things. Adi means etc. and the like, no, which we see in English. All kinds of problems like old age, disease, separation from near and dear ones. All these problems put together are called samsara. Na nivartate. It will not go at all. Never go away. Tasmat karana. Because of that reason, he says what? Jiva Ishwara Beda Buddhihi. This difference, misconception of the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma, this divisive drishti, na swikarya, never accept, never entertain. That's what he says. So all these differences are being caused by this Beda Buddhi. And because of that, Beda Buddhi, all your samsara, all problems are coming to you. So don't accept this Beda Buddhi. Don't entertain this. Right? So now let us just look at this, what the author is trying to say, a little more detail. All the problems that we face in our life, are they internal or external? Let us first analyze it a little bit. I won't go into too much detail. A person says that the light in the room is very dull because he has got cataract. Whereas another person who has got a very good eyesight will say, no, it is not dull, it is very bright. So there will be a difference between the two people. One will think that it is dull, another is bright. Now, in reality, whether the light is dull or bright, the vision of the light being dull or bright will depend upon the power of the individual's vision, isn't it? So the cataract has, which is an internal thing for this person, it has actually given him an appearance of a dull light. Will any amount of increasing the brightness of that light, make it brighter for him or improve his sight? It won't. He has to, if he has to achieve that, he has to carry out an operation internally, remove the cataract, and then the light will appear to be bright as for everybody else. Swami Paramatmananda gives one another example. He says that there was a person who was deaf, hearing challenged. And he was complaining that these days nobody is eating properly. They don't have strength. So their voice is so feeble, I'm not able to hear them at all. So he was he had a problem. He was suffering because of non-hearing. And he was externalizing that. He was actually accusing people of not eating properly. Whereas the problem was there within his own self. His ears were not working properly. So if we actually look at these examples and then extend these examples to all problems in our life, we will come to an understanding and a realization that whatever suffering I am undergoing, whatever problem that I am experiencing, it's all because of my own internal issues, nothing to do with the outside world. But we don't have that understanding at all. So that is why all these sufferings and all, we keep on experiencing that. So in all these cases, there is no point in attacking the world. What we have to do is, we have to understand where the problem lies. And then we have to rectify that problem. If our problem is cataract, we have to do a cataract operation. If our problem is poor hearing, we have to either get a hearing aid or do some surgery for improving the hearing. Similarly, if our problem is ignorance, we have to get the knowledge which will remove this ignorance. And that is what, gaining that knowledge is what is called moksha. And moksha is what? Eternal happiness, no dukkha at all. In all circumstances, whatever happens, this person is always happy. He is not shaken at all. That's why Puja Swamiji says, the problem is you and the solution is also you. That's his famous quote. Problem is you and the solution is you. This we have to understand. Unless we understand this, we will continue to blame each and everybody around us for our problems, for our sorrow, for our misery. And that blaming each and everybody around us will further increase these sorrows and miseries and all these things. That is what is happening. It goes into a sort of a vicious cycle. And we are unable to come out of it. So, what Vedanta says is, as I said, we are the problem and we are the solution also. Because we are the problem, the solution has to be centered on us. Because where the problem is, the solution will lie there only. You cannot look for the solution elsewhere, ignoring the point of origin of the problem. So changing people, changing the society, trying to change family members, their behavior, all these struggles are all in the wrong direction. And solutions attempted in the wrong direction will never succeed. And that's why all human beings are unhappy throughout their life. Because there is, as that expression goes, barking up the wrong tree. Means they're always trying to find a solution where there is no solution. The solution is within you. You have to change your own attitude. You have to change your own misconceptions, your own approach. And consciously try to do that, you will certainly succeed. So many people have succeeded, you will also succeed. But you must do it with commitment. I want to do this. I want to put an end to all my misery, suffering, sadness, unhappiness. This must be the very firm, sankalpa. Then go about what is that I am supposed to do. So everything is available. Our Shastras have got all formula for everything. Actually, I was talking to somebody yesterday. This young boy, very, very enthusiastic young boy. He is working in a company which the revenue of that company presently is $17 million. $17 million US company. Now, this boy working in the company for the last about couple of 2.5 years, he is seeing a potential for this company to reach 100 million target. 100 million revenue within the span of the next few years, 3-4 years. He is seeing a potential. But he is the only an employee, he is not the managing director or anything. But he wants to actually give that, the roadmap to the management, the board of the company, so that within the next 3-4 years, they can reach 100 million target. In this competitive market, it is in the competitive space so far as the product is concerned. Now, as he was thinking about it seriously and all, and doing his browsing and all that, he says that he came across a book which exactly talks how to reach, this is what called the stretched target, overstretched target from 17 to 100, how to do that, how to go about doing it. He says, I chanced upon a book. So it was as if the totality, this Ishvara actually read my thoughts and then put that book in my hand. And he says, I have to start reading that book, but see, the very first opening of the book exactly reflects what my thinking is. So, solutions are there for every problem in this world. We have to know where to look for the solutions and get that knowledge for the solutions. Similarly, for all our unhappiness, our sorrow and all, there are solutions which are there in the Upanishads, in our scriptures. We have to read the scriptures, understand them and get the benefit of that and practice it. It's not merely theoretical, okay, I'm learning Tattva Bodha because there is an examination after the text is over, so I need to score 90% marks. So I will just, memorize everything, whatever Acharya has said, and then the questions will be there. I will answer the questions and get 90%. If this is the approach, that 90% also will result in sorrow only. Why not 100%? Somebody else might have got 95, you will be unhappy. I didn't get 95. That fellow got 95. And I know that he didn't study at all. Still he got 95. I studied day and night. I got only 90. Sorrow, unhappiness. Anything that happens to you, you are unhappy about it. So this is the crux of this whole knowledge. And when we say moksha is eternal happiness, moksha is that state of mind with full understanding of non-difference between anything. All miseries are caused by our misconception of the differences. If we understand there is non-duality, non-difference, it's all one and the same Brahman or Atma, which is pervading this entire universe. Differences are only perceived differences. Then automatically our mind will settle down and say, okay, look beyond the differences. Look beyond that. Okay. So even from a Ishvara's point of view, once you gain this knowledge, assimilate this knowledge, this drishti, this difference, Veda Buddhi will automatically go away. The greater the perception of the difference, the greater the perception of the distance, the deeper will be the problems of the samsara. Lesser the distance, lesser will be the problems of samsara. No distance, samsara will disappear. And the state of no distance is called aikyam. And once you reach that state, that is what is called moksha. Now the second logical question. How does one do that? How to change the misconceptions? How can I remove my distorted misconception? For that, the author provides the answer in the next chapter. Okay. And here he talks about a very, very important aspect of our Vedas, our Upanishads, which is called Mahavakyam. Mahavakyam, literally, if you translate, will be a great sentence, but that is not the meaning. Mahavakyam means a profound message, a profound words. That's what is Mahavakyam. And our scriptures, especially Vedanta, Upanishads and all, contain hundreds of Mahavakyams. What is a Mahavakyam? Mahavakyam is a sentence which reveals the oneness of the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma. Tattvamasi is a Mahavakyam. Aham Brahmasmi is a Mahavakyam. Prajnanam Brahma is a Mahavakyam. Aham Atma Brahma is a Mahavakyam. So in the Upanishads, when you study, whenever you come across any sentence, any mantra, any words which are equating the Jivatma and Paramatma as one, that sentence is a Mahavakyam. These four which I told you are taken from four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharvana Veda. They are just sort of, a samples taken. But each of the Vedic Upanishads belonging to these Vedas contains scores of Mahavakyams. Okay. So what is the author saying? Nanu. So this is not the author saying. There is a student who is actually raising a question, an objection. Nanu basically means an objection. Please hold on. I want to ask something. Sahankarasya kinjitnyasya jivasya Nirahankarasya sarvajnasya ishwarasya tattvamasi iti mahavakyat katham veda buddhihi syat ubayoho viruddha dharma akrantatvat. Those who are not having any exposure to Sanskrit will find these things very funny. But as I'm explaining each part of the sentence, you can understand, and that may be actually also, incentivize you to learn Sanskrit language. Anyhow, so this misconception in the form of Bheda, this difference between Jivatma and Paramatma, this difference between individual and God, this is negated by the Vedic scriptures. And any misconception or a lack of understanding or ignorance can go with the right knowledge. And even in our day-to-day life, we see, when we have a doubt regarding anything, let it be at a personal level or even a national level, an inquiry commission will be set up to go into the facts of the case. What exactly is that, right? And for example, a space vehicle explodes, something happens, even, coming down, even, for example, yesterday I read that in some place in India, one particular lab was testing a number of people as negative for corona, but reporting it as positive. And that lab has been closed down. And now they have set up an inquiry commission as to who are all behind this kind of a scam. Because this is how, the numbers have gone up probably. I mean, we don't know. They have to investigate how many people are doing such things. Because the more positive cases, you can create an atmosphere of fear, and people will say, oh, hospital beds are not there, oxygen is not there, this is not there, that is not there, and you can raise the cost of all these things, price of all these things, and make a killing. It's a very, very depressing situation how human beings can become enemies of other human beings for the sake of money. It's very depressing when you see all read all these things. So like that, even in our day-to-day life, we may come across so many things. So what we do, we'll try to go into the root cause, why this is happening. Similarly, whenever we are having, several doubts or, different misconceptions, only through a proper inquiry, we can get a knowledge of what exactly has happened and get that confirmed knowledge of that. Because these misconceptions, ignorance will not go automatically. You cannot wish them away. It will not go by any other exercise also. And that is where, all the even other shastra like Yoga Shastra and all fail. If you accept that your problems of samsara is because of ignorance, by doing yogasanas, will the ignorance go away? It may keep your body and all, mind and all fit, the concentration and all the qualifications for pursuing Jnana Yoga you will get. But by just doing Hatha Yoga, will you get the knowledge? You won't. Even up to Samadhi level you go, all that you will gain is concentration of the mind, a focus mind you will gain. Okay. So, if you have to remove the ignorance, it has got to be an intellectual exercise. Isn't it? Because the problem is an intellectual problem. Ignorance is an intellectual problem. So we can remove the ignorance only by knowledge, which is an intellectual exercise. So for a problem which is intellectual, the solution also has got to be intellectual. That is what we have to fully understand. And therefore, what the Vedic scriptures attempt to do is that they try to give the right knowledge between Jivatma and Paramatma, or the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma. And as I said, this is given in Vedanta. That is the end portion of the Vedas. And in the context of the entire Vedas, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda divided. In the context, 80% is Karma Kanda, only 20% is Upanishads, Jnana Kanda. In the context of this entire thing, it is only in the Upanishads, in the Veda Anta, that this Jivatma Paramatma relationship is analyzed, it is examined, it is inquired into that. And it is a systematic and an elaborate teaching. And the culmination of the teaching is that Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same original consciousness only, which we have already seen. The differences are seemingly superficial. They are only apparent differences. They appear to be different, but in reality, they are not different. From a transactional point of view, from an experiential point of view, from a Vyavahara perspective, we don't deny that there are differences. Even Advaita philosophy accepts that there are differences, perceived differences are there, because that is the reality of our day-to-day transactions. It's just like, seeing our face in the mirrors. We don't deny that this mirror is showing the correct, this thing, image, or this mirror is showing the correct image. We know that when we look at those mirrors, they will give distorted versions only. We accept that. But in our mind, we know what is the original situation, what is the original fact, what is the reality. So what we conclude is that these visible differences are superficial and non-factual. And that culminating statement which reveals this non-difference, or which reveals the oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma, is what is called a Mahavakyam. So this is what we have to understand. Mahavakyam, more we will see in the next class. Okay, I'll say the prayers and then if there are any questions, we will discuss that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Raghuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Prashna Masti va na va?
Guruji,
Yeah.
is there a difference between prayer and worship?
Prayer is a form of worship.
No, I was listening to some talk today.
Hmm.
That person said, prayer you can do anywhere,
Hmm.
but for a worship, you have to go to a temple.
Okay.
No,
Right.
that's what I wanted to understand. How far are the differences true or
See, let us just see what is worship. Worship need not necessarily be to God, isn't it? The word worship means you praise somebody, because in olden days, when kings were there, people used to worship the kings.
true?
It is worship. It is a process of praising or singing the glories of a particular entity, be it another superior whom you consider superior human being, or you consider as even God. Anything you take, that is worship. Singing the glories is worship, or chanting the glories. When you do that, you actually bring to your mind those glories. What is prayers? Prayers are nothing but an organized form of doing this worship. Let us take the example of Vishnu Sahasranam.
Hmm.
What is Vishnu Sahasranamam? It is the form of prayer.
Prayer.
Correct? What are we aiming to do by chanting or reciting or doing Vishnu Sahasranamam Parayanam? We want to do worship to Lord Vishnu, or whichever form of Vishnu we want to do that. We want to worship. So for worshipping, what we are doing, we are using the Vishnu Sahasranama as a means to worship. So Vishnu Sahasranama is prayers. The purpose is worshipping.
Worshipping.
What does the Vishnu Sahasranama prayers talk about? 1,000 names of Mahavishnu.
Vishnu.
What do they reveal? They are revealing each and every aspect of that person or that entity, Mahavishnu, the glory of that entity, the vibhutis of that entity, for which whom we are worshipping through these prayers. So each and every nama is a prayer. And that's why we say Namaha, Namaha, Namaha. Vishwasvai Namaha, Vishnave Namaha. Why do we say that Namaha? We are praying to you. Namaha means I salute to you, I bow down to you. When do you bow down? When you are praying for something. Of course, at the back of your mind, even when you are doing Sankalpa, you will ask for everything, Dhanam Dhanyam Pashum Bahuputra Labham.
Correct.
Tatasam Vatsaram Dhirghamayu. For all these things, I am doing this prayer, worshipping. So the difference is that, Vishnu Sahasranamam, you can sit anywhere and worship. Temple is just according to our philosophy, temple is a structure given to people who are at a level of lower understanding of all these things. Because at the end of the day, even if you take Vishnu Sahasranama, why you can do Vishnu Sahasranama at any place as long as it's a clean environment and all. You can't be sitting in a toilet and doing Vishnu Sahasranama. Obviously not, right? When I say any place, don't extend that meaning to A neat, clean,
Understood.
calm place, right? That is what is there. You can sit anywhere. Dhyana slokas. You just put your entire focus, mind's focus on the dhyana slokas. Once you have done that, you have created a temple in your mind, and then you are doing the prayers. Why should you go to a physical temple? There is no need. But to understand that is not easy for everybody. If you tell this, everybody will say, I am doing dhyana sloka, close his eyes, and then he will sleep. He will neither go to the temple nor pray. So for common man and all that, our culture, they built these temples, gave them certain glories. Mahatmas, they visited some of these temples. Because of their visit of those temples, their glories increased. I just mentioned to you about when you have got this full knowledge, when you become a Mahatma, you don't need to go to a temple at all, right? But you will find all Swamijis going to temples and worshiping or praying, including Swami Dayananda Saraswati, whom I have actually personally seen. He will be there in the temple whenever there is a function, and whenever he gets time, he will certainly visit the temple. You know why they do it? It is for setting an example for all other people. Because if a Mahatma says, I have got this knowledge of Brahma Ishvara Aikyam, or sorry, Jiva Ishvara Aikyam, I have become a Mukta Purusha, I don't need to go to the temple to worship and all that. You know what people will say? When that Mahatma himself is not going to the temple, why should I go to the temple? This is the human response to all these kind of things. So in order to set an example, in order to persuade people that they should go to temple and start their process of prayer from that, they also go to the temples. There was no need for Adi Shankara to set up all these 4 matas. He is a Mukta Purusha. My job is over. I have got my knowledge. Tata bye bye, he could have said. But for Loka Sankarahartha, for benefit of the mankind, that is what all Mahatmas always do. Their focus.
But do you think that will create self-discipline also?
Then what happens is there are spin-off effects. Once you actually have a temple with this concept, then there are a lot of byproducts of that. One of them is this: first, develop a reverential attitude, which is the foundation of our entire Sanatana Dharma. So you need, for developing a reverential attitude, you need a reverential image of something. So you create an image of a Bhagavan, and then, do all this Kumbhabhishekam and things like that and all. And then, automatically when you go to a temple, you will enter the temple like this only. You will not enter the temple dancing and all that. Have you ever?
So one more explanation was, since temple is, normally you do the prana pratishtha, that means the God is physically present there. So that is the reason why you are going and worshipping, whereas prayer you can do even at home.
See, this is all there at the Dvaita level. Now, when you actually graduate to Advaita level, what the prana pratishtha you are doing there, you do the prana pratishtha to yourself. The God is within you. Realize the God within you. There is no external God. That understanding, to come to that understanding, I agree, is not easy at all. You have to go through this route only. Start with temple, start with all these things. Because for coming to Jnana Kanda, the basic qualification is whole Karma Kanda has to be gone through. You cannot straight away jump to Jnana Kanda like many people do these days. They have no clue of all what the Karma Kanda says. Then they straight away come to Vedanta. That is not the correct route at all. In fact, Adi Shankara, when writing all his bhashyams, his basic assumption is anybody who is reading this bhashyam has full understanding of what is said in the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas. That is his assumption rather. He said, if you have not done that, don't read this. You will not understand ABCD of what is being taught. So Karma Kanda, at least some idea of what the Karma Kanda is all about, is very much essential for coming to Jnana Kanda. But at the Karma Kanda level, whatever you are saying, whatever anybody has said, all are relevant. Karma Kanda says, do these things, then you get punya, then that punya will give you better birth next time and all that. Here we are talking about avoiding rebirth. Karma Kanda emphasizes rebirth. Go on doing punya. Then it says that from a jiva, you may even become a enlightened jiva, like devatas and all that. All these are there in the Karma Kanda. But here, when we come to this, we say that we don't want any of that. We want no rebirth at all. Forget becoming devata or brahmaji or anything. We don't want that. And that for that Katha Upanishad is the best Upanishad. Nachiketa's character, if you read the first chapter, second chapter of Katha Upanishad, Yamaraja offers him everything, including Brahmaji's position. He says nothing to you. I don't want all this. Give me this answer to the question that I've asked. 3 questions he asks. He says, give me the answer to these 3 questions. So Yamaraja is really very much impressed by the steadfastness of this boy, young boy, 9 years old boy. He is not being attracted by any of those things. So the idea is that story inspires us that at a 9-year-old boy can be so, inquisitive and steadfast in what he wants, is what he is seeking. That why can't we be also be so steadfast in what we are seeking in our life? And everybody is seeking happiness only. There can be no two opinion about it. We all seek happiness. So going to a temple, worshipping, or all, we think that they're all giving us happiness because momentarily they give us happiness. And we are mistaking that for permanent happiness. Right? The moment we go to a temple inside, we will be very happy. Where we will get a little more happy if the temple has got some very good prasada that day, some chakra pongal, puliyodara and all that, given some special day, we'll be very more happy, right? The moment we come out of the temple, there will be a lot of beggars sitting on both the sides. And they will be begging. So half of them would not have taken bath for number of days.
Days together, yes.
Days together. And if you ignore them, some of them will catch hold of your dress and pull you. Isn't it? What will be your reaction? Total unhappiness. That dirty fellow has touched me. Just a few minutes ago inside the temple, you are so happy. Within 5 minutes, when you come out of the temple, you have become unhappy. This is the nature of happiness and unhappiness. If we understand this, then we will look what is it that is going to give us, continuous permanent happiness. So what you said was, that is all relevant going to the temple. As I said, there are byproducts. Like in temple, they constructed the temples big because many people today, they say, go to the temple and do pradakshina. You know why?
Right.
Well, these fellows are diabetic patients. They don't do a morning walk or
Exercise.
It's an exercise. Forget reverence and all. He said, go and make some 10 chakra of the temple. You will get punya also indirectly, but your health will improve. So this is another byproduct. Then another third byproduct is temples then became how to bring temples, footfalls. Then they used to have dance programs and musical programs.
Cultural programs. Yeah.
Cultural program. So more and more people will come. And then there was another thing, some utsavams and all, they started celebrating and all. At the end of the day, from a Vedantic point, if you analyze, then you will say that, okay, all these are fine from a transactional point of view, from an experience point of view. From my personal point of view, I am not into all these things. For me, I want to gain that permanent happiness and the secret formula. Right.
Guruji, can I ask something?
Krishna says, Gukhya Tamam. This knowledge in the 15th chapter, Purushottama Yoga, he says, Gukhya Tamam. Tamaf Pratyaya means the superlative degree of comparison, right? Like say good, better, best, right? So Mukhyatamam means most secret knowledge, this knowledge is. And which Krishna says, I have given it to you, Arjuna. This most secret knowledge. So when you come at an individual level, it's all very well. We will go to temple, we will do all those things, do prayers and all. But internally, we must understand what the real absolute reality is. And our goal should be to achieve that, to attain that.
Thank you,
Yes,
Guru. Thank you.
Any other question?
Can I ask you something, Guruji?
Yes, please. Who is that? Lataji?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you for the lovely, another lovely session. Always wonderful to listen to all the minute details. I think you did mention, but then I missed it somehow. Do we say that Jivatma and Paramatma together is Maya, or Maya is something different?
No. Maya is a part of Paramatma.
Maya is a part of Paramatma.
Yes. So Brahman plus Maya put together is Paramatma. Whenever we are attributing Jagat Karanatvam to Ishvara. So when we say Paramatma, another word you can use is Ishvara. Because Brahman, it's pure consciousness. It has no form, nothing, no qualities. So when the Brahman combines with Maya, this creation happens, because Maya is the Upadhana Karanam, the material cause for the universe. And Maya is not separate from Brahman. Maya and Brahman coexist continuously. So these are all little, intricate things to understand. But Brahman, Maya is dependent on Brahman. Brahman is not dependent on Maya.
Yeah, yes, Guruji. But I mean, yesterday, in the previous class also, the reflecting medium 1, 2, 3 and reflected consciousness 1, 2, 3, and the same way 4, 5, 6, the RM and RC. RM and RC 1, 2, 3 is Jivatma, and RM and RC 4, 5, 6 is Paramatma, is what you said.
Correct.
Both are distorted.
Both are distorted versions. Yes.
I thought together they make Maya. But
well, Jivatma, when you say Maya, Maya is creation.
Yeah.
So Jivatma is obviously a part of Maya only. One of the aspects.
Yeah.
Right. So it is not different from Maya.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is why the Vedanta says that this Jivatma is also Mithya. There is nothing called Jivatma. Where Maya is Mithya. Mithya means dependent on Brahman. It does not have independent existence. That is what is Mithya. So since Maya is dependent on Brahman, it is Mithya. Jivatma depending on Brahman is Mithya. No difference between Jivatma and Maya. All these are all Mithya. So they don't go
Paramatma,
into...
Guruji?
Huh?
And Paramatma?
Paramatma is also Mithya. Only reality is Brahman. Everything else is Mithya.
Got it.
Mithya does not necessarily means false,
Yeah.
but appearances. Mithya means appearances. That's all. Even Paramatma is a distorted version only. A distorted version means appearances. Yeah.
So I have a corollary for this question.
Yeah.
So you mean Paramatma is different from Brahman?
Yeah.
Paramatma is a Mithya. Brahman is the superior being, which is the omnipresent.
There is nothing called superior being, inferior being. Brahman is pure consciousness. When Brahman, pure consciousness, blesses Maya, that combination is called Paramatma or Ishvara. Understand?
Well, tough, but I think it will sink in over a period of time. I said it's tough, but it should sink in over a period of time.
Yeah, it should sink in. It's not very easy to understand. Otherwise, everybody will be a Mahatma in this world. But it is very difficult because you have to conceptualize these things. And that's why they give so many examples in the Shastra, But still with those examples, it will be very difficult to concern because that is the reality as per our scriptures. So once we have to first understand that that's the reality. Now we have to understand that reality. How we are going to understand is the challenge.
Sorry to take your time. Still,
it will take time. It will take a long time.
no.
In fact, the best way I have found to do it is to teach. Any amount of reading or listening is not helping. Teaching helps a lot. In fact, so many concepts have become clear to me now after I started teaching, Tattva, Bodha, and Upanishads and all that, even in Nana Nani and all that. What I could not understand when I myself was in the Gurukulam, I am now understanding it in a much, much better way. And I am able to relate to all that has been taught to me by my gurus. So that is what it is. So, but it takes time. It has taken me probably 7 years, 8 years to come to at least this level of understanding. I still will not say that I have reached there, but it's a good progress. I'm happy with the progress. That's all. It takes a long time.
I think Sitaramji has one more question, I guess.
Yes, please.
Yes, I have a question. I provided you have the time.
Yeah, time is not a problem with me as long as you have the time.
I have the time. Brahman is at this level where he is beyond all. Brahman plus Maya becomes Paramatma. Now, how do you define that? Brahman plus Maya is Paramatma. So Brahman is Paramatma is an offshoot of Brahman?
Yeah. See, I will tell you, I'll give you a very simple example. Let us go back to the reflection, sun's reflection example. Correct?
Yeah.
Now you have got two pieces of mirrors. One piece of mirror, on the back of it, that red oxide they put, that is all gone, faded, in the sense that, right? So this mirror, even though it has certain reflecting qualities, there are holes in that because those places the red oxide has gone. Then you have got another mirror which is beautiful, perfect, bright, shining mirror. These two mirrors you have got. Okay. Now this mirror in the left hand side, you call it Jiva. The right hand side becomes Maya. What happens is when the sun is shining in these mirrors, that Maya mirror becomes Paramatma. Understand? Because from a point of view of medium, it is still Maya only. It is a medium only. It is not the original. But because the Brahman is able to shine in that, the sun's reflection is able to, or that medium is able to reflect the sun's light much better than the reflection which is there in the Jiva mirror. So this, this Jivatma and Paramatma differences we are perceiving.
Okay. So a very crude explanation for me, for a person like me, is the better your reflection, more you are closer to Paramatma.
Yes, you can say, yeah, that's why. So what we are trying to do, first Jivatma tries to reach the Paramatma. So what do we mean by reflection from a purely individual point of view? Purification of the mind. We purify our Chitta Shuddhi is what we do as a sadhana. The more and more Chitta Shuddhi we do, the consciousness which is reflecting in our medium will become brighter and brighter and brighter for us to realize that consciousness. And once you have got that Chitta Shuddhi at the maximum level, you will understand that this was only a mirror. The original consciousness is what I am. I am not this body, mind, sense complex. So from your example point of view, also we can actually visualize such a situation where this knowledge comes and sits in our intellect, and then we realize that this is what my reality is.
So that is where Sulekaji's internalizing comes. The
That is
question-
where Sulekaji's internalizing comes. Exactly. Exactly. That is where all these Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, all these sadhanas come in that process. Starting with sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, which is the process which start of the purification process. That's how it is.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, Hariji.
Hari Om.
Hariom.
What is the difference between Jivatma and Jiva?
Nothing. A jiva is just this physical body mind complex. When the atma is reflected in that, it is called jiva. That's all. So a jiva is, there is nothing actually, these are all words, many acharyas use, but jiva is the same as jivatma, you can take. Jiva is the one which is blessed with, or if you want to make a difference, jiva is just the body mind sense, reference to a body mind sense complex. Jivatma is a sentient body mind sense complex which has got the reflection of the Brahman or Atma in that. That's the difference, if you want that difference. But from a Vedantic point of view, we don't, jiva is taken as jivatma only. There's not many difference which is entertained. It's all just everything, every difference is kalpita only. It's all mithya. So why waste the time on mithya things? So that's what Vedanta says. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question? Yes, Sulekaji, you have something? Question? No. Good. So is that over? Shall we close the session?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Hari Om. See you
Hari Om.
next Saturday. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.